Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is a tips and tricks video for Half-Life Alyx on how to beat Jeff. Now, if you've been playing this and you're watching this video, it's probably because, like me, you're stuck on Jeff, or at least I was initially. Dealing with Jeff is pretty difficult. He is essentially one of the aliens that you can't kill and is an utter pain, because he will murder you if he hears you if you make a mistake. So my first tip is to save regularly to try and avoid this problem. Now, when you first start dealing with Jeff, it's pretty easy to sneak past him. So this video is basically at one of the trickier points where you have to trick him into going to this room where you can then lock him in. Pretty tough, but you need to lock him into this room so that you can then use the crank handle outside in order to open the gate to and then access the next area, which then gives you access to a lift that you then need to use to get to the next level. If you try and use that crank handle while Jeff's lurking around, he will come and murder you, so it is important to take care. Now, another tip that I'll give you is to not have anything in your hands. Put your weapon away because you don't need it. You can't kill him with your weapons, and there's no other enemies nearby that will require shooting. So a bottle in each hand is the way forward, because then you've got two to distract him when you need to. Push him to the corner of the room and then throw a bottle into the room, then dash in behind him and shut it. When you're moving, as long as you don't bump into anything, he won't hear you, so you don't need to worry about that. You can just close this door up before he decides to go and investigate something else, and then put that latch down to lock him in. And then once you've done that, just use that crank handle. Unfortunately, I haven't got footage of this bit, but use that crank handle to open the gate. Once you've opened the gate, you'll then find a power control panel that you need to activate with your multi-tool, and you'll trace the power cables around, correcting them and fixing them until you unfortunately discover that you then have to let Jeff out again in order to finish off the chain of power cables. So unlock it and he'll bash his way out. Move out of the way and distract him from the room so that you can then go in it yourself. Another tip here quickly is to cover your mouth whenever you see the spores so that you don't make a noise and he doesn't hear them. The next one is be careful what you're doing with the power cables. There are only two ways to do it, but if you do it in the direction I just did, then you'll set off a speaker in the room that then attracts him in and he'll kill you. Again, the importance of saving regularly, so just take care with the power cables and make sure you save beforehand. Once you have the power cables correctly connected, you'll then find that it traces back out of the room. So it comes into the room, fix them up in the right direction, and it goes back out again and then back towards the lift. So you just need to make sure you get them connected up properly. It's fairly easy to do as long as you don't make the mistake that I did. So you see here, connect those up, and then it goes to this wire that then leads back out of the room. Regularly grab bottles as often as you can and throw them away from you so that he follows them rather than you, because he will make his way around the room otherwise, and if you accidentally make any noise he'll definitely be after you. So a bottle in each hand, throw them, because then if you make a mistake and you actually drop it too near you, you can throw the second one to then distract him in a different direction. Definitely worth doing. Again, as I said, cover your mouth when you move between zones so you don't cough. Now we're into the lift, and there's another control panel to activate for power. That power traces through and back around. Luckily the gate is halfway down, so he can't get through because he's not clever enough to bend down. Power cable traces around the side and the back of the lift behind some boxes. So here I was trying to work out where it was going. You can't see the extent of it, and you can't get on top of the boxes. Also, it's sort of worrying because you don't want to go near Jeff, because we've been trying to avoid him this whole time, but he actually can't get through right now, so there's no need to panic. Basically, you just go to the other edge of the room. It's in the opposite corner to finish off the power connection. So we're moving now to the other edge. Here, I tried to throw a bottle through, but it just smashed on him and it didn't really help matters. Luckily, it didn't really make any difference. So you can see the end of the power cable connections here. Get the multi-tool out, finish off that connection with a single connection. Jeff then comes in with you, unfortunately, and there's no way to avoid that problem because the gate's then shut behind him. So he's now trapped in there. I'd recommend saving at this point, because the next thing you need to do is to go out of here across the room next to Jeff to press the button to make the lift go onto the next floor. You can see it here if you lean around the corner. And on my first attempt, as you're about to see, I made a mistake where I made too much noise. I must have hit the cans on the floor or something, or bumped into him, and he hears me, and then that's the end of it. So again, important to save, otherwise you'll end up doing a whole checkpoint thing again, and it's annoying. Luckily, the save system in this is great. It means you can just keep quick saving constantly. Press that button, dash back to the other corner, because what's going to happen now is, in a minute, he will move out of the lift once the doors open. Another creature drops into the lift with him, and luckily he'll deal with it so you don't have to worry. Smashes it up. He will kill anything that comes in his way, so that's a bonus, and worth bearing in mind, because what it does mean is you won't need your guns. As I said, you don't need to have your guns out all the time, because there's no problems that you have to shoot. The next part is fortunately pretty simple, so I've not done a video on this. Basically, you just need to sneak around this room until you find your way out while avoiding him, so there are various crevices and things to go through. Just take care, and then you'll find yourself in the next bit beyond that, which is again tricky. This is the bit I'm talking about. You'll find yourself on a little ledge where you've got to drop down. There's a force field there that Jeff's come through, and now we're into another room where we need to acquire some power cells. The first of these power cells is in this room here behind this door, which is shut because of this chair, so you need to put your hand through, grab that chair and move it out of the way while trying to avoid making too much noise. And if you do make a lot of noise, be sure to distract Jeff with some bottles. Now in this room there are various different cabinets with red handles on that you can open. Grab them and open them up. In that one you'll find the power cell. Don't forget you can store stuff in your wrists. There are however 3 power cells that you need in order to power a device that requires power in order to open for the next stage of the game. So you need those 3 power cells. 2 of them are relatively easy to get. The third is a bit tricky, which is the reason why I'm doing this video. Also wanted to talk to you about a couple of other bits. In this room you'll find various bits of ammo and health kits and stuff that are worth grabbing. Just take care when you're doing it not to knock bottles off, and to save regularly to make your life easier. There are plenty of bottles around, so throwing them regularly is fairly useful. Now in the drawers and the filing cabinets here you'll also find a gas mask. There are a couple of gas masks scattered about. Watch out for that as well. The bottles roll out of the cabinets and onto the floor, because that will attract Jeff's attention, so you've got to be really careful not to knock things on the floor too much. Now, as I was saying, in the filing cabinets there's a gas mask. The gas mask is really useful because what you can see just down the corridor and a bit more around this area is there are various alien creatures on the wall that are spewing spores into the air. You will cough as you go by them and make a lot of noise. That gas mask there that I didn't pick up, but you can put over your face. So just hold it up to your face and it will go on, and then that will stop you from coughing when you go past it. Otherwise, use your hand, put your hand up to your mouth to do it. However, that means you don't have a free hand to grab hold of bottles, so actually using the gas mask is preferable. You can see that I then accidentally coughed and it's attracted his attention. Luckily you can throw the bottles to then distract him anyway and stop him from chomping on you, which is definitely a good way of doing it. The other thing is there are multiple filing cabinets and areas, so moving around quickly in this little mini map is a good way to survive and keep Jeff at a good distance from you. He won't just come for you because he can't kind of see you, but he can hear you, and he does move around of his own accord once he gets bored of looking at whatever noise you made, so it's pretty important to take care. Now here's another gas mask on the floor, and you can see, just put it on your face, just hold it up to your face and you'll hear a little noise that lets you know that it's on, and then you'll no longer cough as you go past. So the next power cell, the most difficult one that I found, is inside this room. You need that crank handle there in order to open that gate to get access to it. Now it's stuck on one of the metal pylons that's coming out of the concrete, and you try and put it on there, you'll find the other metal pylon below it is in the way, and I got stuck here. And it's one of those puzzles that's remarkably straightforward and obvious, but I overthought, so if you're having trouble with it then you'll find this video useful as well. I thought maybe you need to get Jeff to bash it, so I tried throwing the stuff at there, hoping that he'd go over and smash it or something. I found a grenade, I tried throwing at it, I tried bending it down myself, I tried putting the crank handle on it and pulling it down. There was nothing that worked, and it was really annoying. Unfortunately, it is very simple, and I really kicked myself once I worked out how to do it. But luckily there are a number of bottles scattered around that you can throw to distract him from it. Here you can see I was trying to make him angry enough that he would smash that down and bend it out of the way so that I could then use it. The other one is hidden here. I'll go back to that one in a minute with the crank handle, but I found the other one hidden behind that wall. Just bear in mind there's one of those aliens with the dangly bit on it, I don't know what it's called, that then grabs stuff and pulls it up towards it. So if you don't grab it in the right way, it will get pulled up into the sky, and then it tries to chomp on it, then it drops it and you can pick it up again, but it's a bit of a nightmare. So this is the area that you need to take the cells to, and I had 2 now, so I took them up just so I could have free hands, because obviously you can only store 2 of those battery packs. The third one you'd end up carrying, and then you'd have 1 hand that was currently occupied all the time, and therefore you wouldn't be able to hold bottles to distract him, and that would be frustrating. So I wanted to make sure I had access to those easily. So now going back down into this area, this is another video where I hadn't messed it up, and basically you're going to grab this off and pull it off here as I showed you before, but now in order to put it on there so that we can crank it, what you actually have to do is to thread it onto the bottom one. It's really obvious, frustratingly obvious actually, but what you got to do is basically just loop it down here, push it on. It's a bit fiddly to do, so make sure you distract Jeff well before you start doing it. It doesn't make too much noise, but you don't really want him chomping on you when you're trying to do this. And then that locks into place. The next bit is obviously going to make quite a bit of noise to open that gate, so use those bottles to make sure he's a fair old way off. I beamed my way around the room, and this is a good way of doing it, to push him into a completely different area so he's not close by in any way, and you can get away with making a bit of noise temporarily so you can then get out of the way when you need to. Now when you start cranking this handle, that gate's going to make a lot of noise, so look before you do this so you know where the power cell is. It's on the shelf here, and if you force grab it, it then drops out. You can then pick it up quickly and move away, because you can hear him stomping up behind you, and it's pretty terrifying. Then once you've done that, you've got all 3 of the power cells, and finally you're free of him. Unfortunately you aren't though, because he will reappear in a second. Apologies for the spoilers, but to get past him is a bit of a mission, so I thought you'd be happy to see how to do it. So now we've engaged those power cells, what we need to do is go down to the control panel on a lower level, find your way down there, pay attention to a little bit of loot that's laying around. There's a couple of boxes to smash and yellow boxes to open and such. Once you get here, there's a lever on the left hand side that you can pull, and then you need to pull out this other unit in the middle on the left there. Push it in and drop it back down again. But when you start doing that, it makes too much noise and attracts Jeff, and he bashes his way out, and you have to dodge him. Luckily, because the machine's making so much noise, that's what attracts his attention more than you, so you're not in danger necessarily. But I just got out of the way and then up high so I could watch what was happening. He undoes what you've just done and gives it a good bash, but he's not broken the machine, so you can still use it, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. After he's finished doing that, luckily you don't have to carry on distract him, because he just goes into this area at the back, basically goes back in where he bashed out, and that's kind of a new zone that you can go into. If you follow him in, you'll find finally there's a way to kill him. Ah, good news. Good news. If like me you got to this point, you're probably really fed up with the sight of him or the sounds of him bashing his way around. Grab one of these bottles and throw it into the trash compactor, and he'll follow it in. Then once again, as we did with that other room, you can shut him in. So just flip this switch and it will shut the door on him. And then if you really want to get rid of him, press the button and it will squash him. And oh boy, it's so satisfying to smush him after all that. And I wasn't sad to see the back of him, neither was Alyx either. He gets smushed up nicely in there. Just take a moment to enjoy the good smushing, and then you can move on to the next bit. And I'll show you just quickly how to finish off dealing with the control panel, and then you can get on with the next bit of the game and winning and successfully enjoying the rest of Half-Life Alyx, which is a cracking game. Fully enjoyed it. So now we're going to just quickly loot in this room because there's a few bits worth grabbing, and then once you've done that, then go back out to that control panel and you can then activate and use it without any fear of reprisals from Jeff because he's well squashed. So on the left hand side you'll find that pull handle again, and then access that you'll see a blue light up for each of these. So the important thing to pay attention to is the lights on top. You'll see red lights when it's not ready, and then a blue light when you activate it. So you then have to go through each of the steps, but you have to wait for the light and get the timing right. You'll hear the noise of the beeps is speeding up. That means you're on a timer, and if you don't get it right, the whole thing just resets. So it's kind of frustrating. So you can see it's all reset now. So what you need to do is pay attention to those lights. Pull that lever down. First two are quite easy, but you've got to make sure you wait for the lights to activate before you go on to the next one. So as soon as it changes from red to blue, then switch that on and finish it off step by step. It's just those four. It's a pretty simple puzzle, but I just thought I'd quickly show you it. Hope you found this video useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting or hilarious. Be sure to subscribe and check out these other videos, as well as taking a look in the description for links and information you might find useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or anything you'd like to see extra about this, and have a great life.